Uganda Eyenkya.
Scripts have changed. I'm talking about Dr. Lawrence Muganga. Of course, he is the writer or the author of one of those books I still read over and over again. You Can't Make Fish Climb Trees. I got to know him via different shows or talk shows, broadcast, and it was on the Voice of America with my good friend and mentor, Dr. Anindugu Shaka Sali. And they discussed this. I said, wow, one time I might or I must host him on the show. And surprisingly, he flew from Canada just to do the show. And surprisingly, it is still on the desk for one thing, COVID-19. So today we are going to discuss different things on how the lockdown has, or how he has treated, or how it has treated him. I'm talking about COVID-19, some of the lessons he has picked from the pandemic, some of the observations, and quite a number of things on how we can actually cope up with the situation in regards to the education sector, not only in Uganda, of course, but as a continent and the globe at large, because many challenges have actually come into discourse. They have shaped actually the discourse. It's never before that challenges are shaping the discourse. So we are going to discuss a few things or a couple of things with him. And I guess you have a pen and paper to learn quite a number of things. Dr. Lawrence Muganga.
How are you, sir?
Very, very, very fine. I think the lockdown, I have treated the lockdown the way you trained me to, because you've given me some tips on how to train or on how to give risks or pandemics, such pandemics, at least blows, and I've done so. So I've treated it somehow good.
Yeah, you know this saying that every time you go to the battle, you go with the forces that you have.
True.
So you can't go there anticipating that I wish I had this big army. So you go with the soldiers you have.
Yeah, true.
So all the time, have your soldiers ready and confront anything you're confronted with what you have, with the zeal to win.
I know, like one might ask, what sort of course, soldiers, because apparently guns are not working anymore, tear gas is not working anymore, firearms are not working anymore. What kind of soldiers are you talking about?
So here is the thing. To begin with, I want to really convey or express my sympathy to everyone out there who is really going through what we're going through. We are in this all together. It is not the best thing we should have faced or ever face. But I can assure everyone, even though I'm not an authority in, say, in the medical world, for example, to really determine that we will come to the top of it, but we'll go through this. We have really gone through so many things, right? This is a special pandemic, even though we are still using the word pandemic, but it looks so special. In my so many years of living in this world on earth, I have never seen anything like this, where everyone has to be confined home and people are not working. So we are used to wars like you're talking about, guns and everything blazing, and people have to stay home, quarantines and everything, but this is special. But I empathize with everyone. We'll get through this. To those who believe in God, like faith-wise and in the Bible, you find that God will never unleash to us anything we cannot really handle.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
so at some point we'll handle that.
But
again, coming back to what you have asked me, like guns are not working.
Tear gas is nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen. It's actually, if it was something getting expired, people should be worried that it's getting expired. Now we are confronted with a different enemy.
Yeah, true.
And now the gun that you should arm yourself with, and this is what we call, we have been saying this, that if you're fueling up your car to go from point A to point B, do you have some reserve? That just in case you encounter a certain distance that you never anticipated to really drive, do you still have the fuel to take you another 5 kilometers? And if you had that, then that is the gun you can have besides you. But let's assume you don't have anything. I read so many books and I listen to so many incredible speakers. One person said that like to people who have usually problems, he asks a question and then you have a problem and then you become nervous, you become so stressed, you enter into a depressive mood, you become so depressed. But he asks a very, very simple question. That usually when you are in such a situation, ask yourself this question. Do you have a problem? If the answer is yes, then ask another question. Can you do something about it? If the answer is yes, then why worry?
You shouldn't get worried about anything.
Number two, do you have a problem? And do you have a solution to it? If the answer is no, then why worry still? Because you don't have a solution. So we are in this catch-22 right now. We have no vaccine, we have no treatment.
True.
So the only thing you have, the only soldier, the only bullet, the only gun you have is only you. And how do you become a resource to your own self? It is by following what the doctors are telling us. If I'm talking to you right now, or anyone, the only thing I have to think, I am the only safest person here, the rest are sick. Then, if I have that kind of mindset, that means I'm going to take care of myself. Take care of yourself. Because we need each other after this pandemic is gone. And it will go. So we don't have to expose ourselves to these scary scenarios where you don't know where you will pick up this kind of pandemic. People say, there's some people who are actually trying to undermine this epidemic in a way, say, oh no, this is a flu like influenza or something like this. But I'm yet also to hear someone telling me that we have had flu that has managed to kill almost over 300,000 people in less than 3 months. It's not there.
Because I remember like the kind of pandemics we've had so far, of course, the influenza, they haven't actually reached to that magnitude in just a space of months.
Exactly. So you can't, if you do that, then you're comparing apples to oranges. You know, actually apples to oranges would be even closer to whatever. So maybe
doctor, like in brief, you're comparing actually Lionel Messi to someone who's still learning to.
No, you're comparing an orange to a watermelon. So something's huge.
The magnitude is actually, you can't compare the magnitude of influenza to to this pandemic, COVID-19.
The severity is scary. I have never seen a situation where it is even very hard to access a coffin where you can bury your loved one.
My God. I saw actually a story, was it in the United States, of course, even those ones who do such coffins, of course, they are complaining that even the situation is getting tougher now.
Exactly. I mean, look at the situation we are in this lockdown right now. It is very hard, if, God forbid, if someone lost someone, it's very hard to access a casket somewhere. It's
Can
hard.
you imagine?
Have we ever seen something like that?
No.
So, I fear people who don't fear this situation. But it is what it is. But usually, pay attention to every bad news when it comes. There is always good news that is packaged within it.
Okay.
And to those who have the eyes will see the good news. And to those who choose not to see, they will never see anything. Especially if you're so engulfed into negativities every now and again. Sometimes approach everything with a positive kind of mindset, right? This has turned the world upside down.
Very good. True.
It has changed the way we think. I see, like, yesterday I was watching a conference on TV by the Private Sector Foundation, and honestly, and the conference was about how do we prepare for the post-COVID era.
True.
Right? But on hearing most of the narrative that I had being really articulated, I realized actually people have learned everything but forgot everything. That every solution they were giving was looking at actually the past, where we have been. So someone was still talking about how do we manufacture this, how do we make, for example, add value to coffee, and then we send it out as value added. How do we convert bananas into wines? How do we do? These are things we're supposed to have thought about in the 1980s, in the 19everything, not in the post-COVID
The past
era.
decades, by the way.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So the post-COVID-19 era tells us that, hey, wake up. There are situations that may look like this, where you don't have even the time to process something. But how do you stay afloat if you're confronted with a situation like this? So I listened and listened, and I said, okay, I will give them a benefit of doubt, given the generation like they have worked with and they embrace, they are comfortable with that kind of narrative. And they have not looked beyond what technology can offer and how we can really tap into the latest technologies, leverage this technology to actually fit into the post-COVID era.
Very good, Doctor. Going into the observations first, what are some of your observations, of course, on a global scale, that you've observed as a doctor, as a professor, that ever since this pandemic hit the world, that you've observed this and this?
So I'll tell you, like, and I want to be selfish here, and confine myself within the education sector.
Okay.
For so many years, we have talked about changing education as we know it, and people thought it's hearsay. It is, these things can't change. You know, I like people who come up with certain sayings like. You know the saying, I don't know if it is even a saying, but it should be that kind of category, that you either change or change will change you.
Yeah, true.
If you don't embrace change, then change will change you. So we have been calling for change. Transform education, the education that you have. Don't reform. You have been reforming every day. Transform. Let it look like the life we live. Not an artificial kind of life we think education should look like, but when people go through this various system, it changes after actually landing into real life. But as we were talking about all those things on a daily basis, yearly and everything, here comes COVID-19. And who is going to school anymore?
No one.
No one. And I had the president yesterday that he wouldn't even mind if students don't go to school for a term or even a year. And I hear him, like he's right. When it comes to the safety of those children is number one.
Citizens, yeah.
Yes, because those are the productive citizens of tomorrow. If you don't take care of them right now, then you're not doing a good job. But what have we done to still give them what we owe them as educators, such that they become not stunted, but productive still in the post-COVID era? So these are the things I have observed. To those who were prepared long time ago, those who have heeded the call that we have been talking about, I'm talking about countries like Canada, where I come from right now. My children are going to school at home.
At home.
Yes. And the only thing that has changed is that a teacher is on the other end, at their home. And maybe parents now, like you need to find me here when I'm fidgeting with the time zones. Now I have become a permanent teacher to support my, not a teacher per se like the other teacher, but as a parent who should help my young kids to navigate their education at home.
In this situation?
Yes, the platform has been built. And the added advantage is that everything is now contextualized. They are doing it in a context they understand. An example to be given is given in the context that they can really understand. So, countries like Finland, countries like Sweden, countries, people are not losing time. So, I think this is a great wake-up call for us. That education doesn't have to happen in a classroom. That a teacher...
It shouldn't be class-based.
Yeah. That the divine place of a teacher should be in front of a student. At the center of a classroom. No.
All right, we're still moving. Of course, quite a number of observations, challenges, and lessons or solutions have been picked so far. Of course, if you're not good at learning, COVID-19 would give you more lessons or will give you more challenges to do so. And of course, having a thorough discussion with Dr. Lawrence Muganga. For those of you who don't know him, of course, he has a huge biography, and of which it will take me some good, actually not years or decades to just talk about this guy. So we're just having a discussion, of course, to understand how we can cope with the situation, how we can change the solutions or convert the challenges into solutions. So, Doctor, you're still telling me your observations so far in regards to the education sector, not only in Uganda, but the global at large.
Yeah, around the world. So, I mean, like, this thing ought to give everyone a lesson. And you don't have to enroll in school to learn this. Who would have known in this world that if I give you money from my pocket, you will be skeptical to take that money? Like, who would have even known that it is now dangerous to receive cash from someone? But isn't that a signal that we need to do things differently? Now, here we are. We have to sit somewhere with sanitizer, because we have to hand wash, we have to sanitize every now and again. This is the magnitude of the problem we are dealing with right now.
It's now part of our daily life. Who actually knew that we could actually have sanitizers?
It is survival for the fittest right now. Whoever aspires to really survive, no, just imagine.
Yeah, true.
Did we know about this? Like, was this really part of the game in the last, say, before maybe 4 months ago?
Not really.
No one cared about sanitizing and everything. Now it's a sector, a kind of a booming industry now. You know,
sanitizers are produced like never before.
Exactly.
Yeah. So still talking about
bringing it back to education.
Education.
Yeah. That who knew that our students would come and sit with us at home when it is actually school time, right? Nobody knew that, but this is something we've been telling people, different policymakers, different educationists, different education administrators, different parliamentarians, governments at large, and parents that, you know what, education has to actually be real life. It has to be authentic. It has to mirror the life we live in today, right? Because it's not all about having a child living in an artificial environment called a classroom and then think that they are being educated, right? So now, let's think about Uganda right now.
Yeah,
that has been used to doing exams, final exams, right? At the end of the year, for someone to move to another class, you have to have had a final exam. Uganda primary living examinations, Uganda certificate of education, Uganda advanced certificate of education. Okay, if this COVID situation has to go for another 2 years, so what is going to happen? So does it mean
are we going to have dead years?
Dead years are now even very popular with lower. We are used to someone in university choosing to have a dead year, not to continue school, do your own things. But this is going to be now a mandatory dead year that you never wished for. So if the central point now was an exam, and an exam is not going to be done universally, nationally, what is Uganda going to do? How are these students going? How are they moving from one level to another? So, was that rocket science for someone to think that we may encounter a challenge like that may downplay this examination kind of system? So what other countries have done, they were so prepared that exams actually don't determine so much.
Yeah, very good.
Right? Like, they trusted their teachers. They trusted their teachers to assess these students because they know them, they observe them, they work with them on a daily basis.
They didn't trust the rooms or the
they
classrooms.
Never trusted a certain piece of paper with a set of questions being done around the country, same day, same time, as if you are dealing with robots with the same engine that think the same way. No. Now, these countries don't care whether a student is going to copy or not. Because these questions, the way they say to them, you don't have to copy. Yeah. If you have been asked to develop a project of your own, where are you going to copy?
Because I remember the same question being posed by the president of Uganda, that who monitors the online examinations.
Yeah, who invigilates.
Who is the invigilator?
Yes, exactly. Why do we have to set questions, exams, that are necessitating an invigilator? Why? Can't we have activities, questions that are actually triggering creativity, innovative thinking that is unique? Because you and I, Moses and Lawrence, we were created differently. Yeah, we think differently. We do things differently. So maybe someone would ask a question that would trigger you to think differently and come up with a solution to that particular problem that has been set. And you don't have to copy anywhere because there's nowhere to copy. They are just going to now assess your creativity.
Very good.
And your innovative potential. So the same with me, I'll come up with something different. We are trying to solve the problem differently.
I think, Doctor, it's this right moment in a time whereby I think, I don't know, I feel it works. How about set these questions that how can we solve this pandemic?
Exactly.
I think like all students face the challenge. Like bring out your reasons. How do you think how best can we solve?
So, you know, the education system we have right now is something we call, its inception dates back to the Committee of 10. We call it the Committee of 10. Some people in America, it goes way back, but when some people in America sat down and said, okay, this is how we're going to educate our kids in batches. Year one, you have to be this age and we'll give you an exam. And then for you, move to another level. So I think that is dead. And COVID-19 has put the last nail in that coffin. So now we have to think new. And we have to embrace a situation where technology has to be a key player now. Did you know that there are things called holograms, where a great teacher, one great teacher can be replicated to teach in all schools in this country? The one you may call a great teacher, as long as you have this technology, would be recorded. This visible person, the same individual, and you're seeing him there teaching these kids, but it's just a hologram in this country, in these kind of schools. So we have to embrace technology. We have to rethink the way we assess. We have to trust our teachers that they know what they are doing. not to trust national exams. So if they don't do national exams, what are the parents going to do with these kids? Are they going to repeat these classes? Or they're just going to be moved, roll them over to another class without an exam? So that opens up for us a very, very good discussion that we must have, and which is really geared towards changing the education system as we know it, and trying to think that where are our priorities? Is the priority building the classroom, or the priority should be that at least in every area there is high-speed internet, right? If there is high-speed internet, it means we can afford to have these students even sit in the comfort of their home.
Very good.
With the help of their parents.
Their smartphones or computers.
Yes. And then they have to do what? They have to attend school and productively achieve what they have to achieve. So is the priority having a classroom or a building, a fancy building, or a computer lab that can be used by a community of these learners?
Very good, Doctor. Like, just a moment. I was arguing with someone who thinks that this setting of actually bringing this, for instance, a student or a kid to concentrate on a computer, a smartphone, that it's really hard to change the setting because we are used to that classroom based, or like we are used to classrooms. Do you think at this point in the time are we really ready to migrate to that setting?
Okay. Everything is becomes habitual. It's a habit. Okay. Let's flash back a little bit. You may have been young, but to those who are watching us, some of them remember, or you even read about these things. Think about 1990, 1991, 1992. Who had a computer or a phone? No one. And what happened now in 2020? We didn't know anything about a phone, how to use a phone. No Facebook, no WhatsApp, no Snapchat, no Instagram, no emails. Maybe they were there a little bit, but who had a computer to use them? No, the other thing is called TikTok or something. No, nothing. But in the advent, like after all those things coming into play, didn't we learn how to use them?
We did so.
We did so. So, it is also very easy. It's just a matter of policy. And government support. That they have to emphasize that, oh, guess what? Learning doesn't have to happen in a classroom. You can actually start your lesson on your way home if you want. Do you have a smartphone? Do you have a tablet? Do you have a laptop? Do you have a computer at home? As you are also doing other things. Instead of people wasting their time looking at WhatsApp, looking at these videos, talking about ABCD, or that are not benefiting them in any way, maybe they can spend that time productively learning or even supporting their kids to learn.
Very good, Doctor. Talking of the policymakers, the biggest question, the how question. How do we make this happen as Uganda? Because fact is, we've lagged behind so much. Decades have passed, and we're still actually concentrating on classrooms. How do we migrate to this nature of actually being going digital, the education going digital?
Yeah, someone has to weigh what is more expensive. Is building more classrooms around this country, for example. And I'm not saying it is bad. It's a good idea.
Infrastructure development.
Infrastructure development. It creates jobs.
Yeah, true.
That's great. It creates environments where these kids have to study. But you also have to think, if I have meager resources, how best can I use them? Right? So now we are given an opportunity where Mother Nature has equalized us, right? Now we are confronted with everything that is America is suffering from. Canada, Norway, Sweden, name it. Everyone is suffering from this. And they are going back to the drawing boards to find out how do we survive in these difficult times. So should Uganda, right? Now that if tomorrow something came by, and it is very, very dangerous than even COVID-19, what are we going to do if we don't have options like this? So is it more expensive to have 1,000 or 10,000 classrooms, or is it cheaper to actually develop more technology and make our people use more technology? So where are our priorities? How do we save more money but still productively have a well-developed human capital? I still think that the more we invest in technology and technologically influenced businesses, activities, actions, we stand a better chance than just investing in a building. Because don't forget that we are now living in what we know as the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah, true.
If we don't prepare our human capital, our kids, to fit into this fourth industrial revolution, we are always going to be lagging behind. All the time. Have you envisaged a situation where actually learning in schools in a classroom maybe in the next 30, 40, 50 years may not be happening? And people may be actually sitting in their homes, and that's when they're finishing their courses from. So how about if we prepare it now?
That's the trend we are taking now.
Yes, that's the trend we are, like, do I need to study from Harvard? Yes. Okay, can you deliver that course at home, at my home? Yes. Then why should I go to Boston or somewhere to sit there just because I want to be in Harvard? What I need is their credential and the knowledge. And the knowledge they are giving me, I'm receiving it in the comfort of practicing it in real life. I think that's better than sitting in a classroom.
I know you're a doctor and a professor, of course. What are some of the reasons why we've lagged, or we've been lagging behind and not to endorse or to adopt this kind of situation, or to say that we embrace technology in place of classroom-based education? Why do we lag behind?
Very, very simple. One, the fear of the unknown. We don't know how to do this, and we don't know the outcomes, right? And two is that who are our policymakers? Our policymakers were taught by sitting in a classroom and they have a teacher in front of them, and if that is so, they will pass a policy that emulates and supports that kind of environment. You know what I mean? So, but these policymakers and like those who are doing advocacy for this should think boldly. Should think about the future that they don't know about. They should think about jobs that have not even existed now. And taking this COVID-19 as an example, it has changed everything for us. It has flipped everything for us. So now, it is now okay for workers to work from home. Now, bosses are no longer taking roll calls that did you come on time or everything. The worst case scenario is capturing you on COVID and you're sitting on a toilet. You know? Yeah, I mean, like, you are on Zoom and you're not a toilet. You're working from home. Those are the worst case scenario we are seeing right now, right? But as a result of COVID.
Uganda Eyenkya.